Okay guys, so just another quick note on caches. I've cached out my fluids, right? Or I did before, but I'm going to show you again how I did it. One thing that I wanted to mention was, you know how when you start your cache, you sort of get the flames forming for the first time. Now obviously that's not ideal. You want your flames to already, or I do anyway, I wanted my flames to already be happening before I started. So I'm actually going to have to change my start point for my cache. So that can be done with your fluid selected. You go to Attribute Editor, and under Dynamic Simulation here, you have a start frame here. And I'm just going to start my simulation maybe 50 frames before I actually want to start rendering. So I'm going to start it at -50. Then I'll just set my timeline to -50. And I'm just going to cache out from here. So that means that my flames will have a chance to sort of start building up, and then, and then the skull will start spinning. So to cache it, just as a reminder, with my fluid selected, I go to Fluids, I go to nCache, Create New Cache, Maya Fluid, and I select the options here. It's going to have a default folder structure, and I usually just leave it as that. I'm going to give a name to this. I'll call it Skull Flames. Just going to evaluate every frame, and I'm going to set it to 1 file per frame, and I'll show you a bit later why I did that, but basically it's just going to be so I can delete the start of the cache so my cache isn't too huge. So I'm just going to let that run. Alright, so I've just let that cache run. It took a little while, but now I've got my flames. You'll see that they sort of develop, and then they sort of get left behind as the skull spins, so that's all very good. And I just decided to quickly make this little play blast so you guys could get a look at sort of how my flames were looking. So you can see that they're born, and then, spins around, and it's great, and then the lights spin around, so that's all working great. So I'm happy with that. So I can get rid of that. And I'm happy with my cache. So I want my cache, I could just leave it so that these frames here are calculating, but if I was really being finicky about it, I might just save a new version of this. Turn around, cached. I can choose the frame where I want to start. Oh, no, actually that doesn't matter. I can choose my fluid, which now has my cache on it, and I can go to nCache. I can go delete cache frame. Now I'm going to go to options for this, and I can actually set a window of which frames I want to delete. So just by way of example, if I look in my nCache folder, in here I've got all of these files, right? And each one is 1 frame worth of calculation. And this XML file is my actual cache file. So if I just put them in order, I use date modified because then I've actually got negative values here. See, so it goes -50, it goes all the way through to 200. Now, if I want to get rid of all of these cache frames from here to here, just for sake of having a lighter scene, I can set my start delete frame to -50, end delete frame -1. I can hit apply. Now I'll just show you what happens there. My cache files are actually turned into a backup file, so now it's only going to be loading my cache from frame 0 through to frame 200, which is the frames I need. So now I can set my timeline back to 0, and I'm happy with my cache. So that's the basic setup for caching my fluids. You do the same thing with end particles, same thing with cloth. You'd cache it all out, and that just keeps your scene nice and light. The next and last video for today will be that recap of setting up render layers. All right, cheers.